Hello and welcome to the newest episode of the Inside the Ropes Raw Rundown. This is the show where we talk about Monday Night Raw in depth, we analyse the segments and see where things are going with the WWE's flagship programme. I'm Kenny McIntosh and as always I am joined by the wallflower that is Robert Duffin.
The wallflower? Are you kidding me? Of all the things you've ever called me.
You said voluptuous was the worst though.
Well, I don't ever like being called that, but who does? This was the St. Patrick's Day edition of Raw. Why do American people who might be listening, why do they say St. Patty's Day? I know it's St. Patrick, like Patrick, but it's Paddy's. St. Paddy's Day, right?
Yeah, no, I've never heard them call it St. Patty's, but, you know...
You've never heard that?
No, but if they do, I would love to immediately correct them.
Yeah, but I've heard so many people say that. I mean, it's just an affectation. It's how it's said. Like even I'm pretty sure.
So you know, is it not in America? Like instead of saying Craig, they say Craig. Like it's a really pronunciation. Pronounce it right.
Yeah, like from the West Wing, C.J. Craig. I'm like, what?
I know.
But I'm pretty sure the bar in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, like it's Paddy's bar, but they call it Patty's. I'm like, that doesn't sound Irish. Like, an Irish paddy, like, that's a thing. I know it's a bit of a racial stereotype, but this is a show about wrestling, so everyone should just get used to that. But anyway, yeah, so cue lots of references to St. Patrick's Day.
So yeah, this was quite an eventful episode of Monday Night Raw leading up to WrestleMania.
More so than I thought it was going to be. I sort of thought that last week's episode would be the last one where anything really happened. That everything from now on would be quite, like things would occur.
By numbers.
Yeah, kind of picked by numbers, the bog standard stuff, promos, whatever. I didn't think there'd be any more plot twists. But oh boy, was I wrong.
Oh boy, yeah. And the one thing about this year that I think I just want to insert here is that this year feels a lot more like WrestleMania season than last year did. I think it's kind of... Last year is really sort of, you can see how bad the build was last year generally by just watching this year. So they kicked off the show by having a video package highlighting last week's Occupy Raw, and they made it look tremendous. Like they made it look like a really epic segment, which it was. So good for them. So Raw kicks off with Triple H in the ring. He wants to talk about... last week with Daniel Bryan, the Yes Movement. He says he's going to destroy Bryan at WrestleMania. And then Batista decides to come out, and it was really clever the way that this promo was scripted, because it was a bit of realism inserted. Batista saying he didn't come back and sign up for this. He doesn't want a triple threat match. He won the Royal Rumble. What's Triple H thinking? So Triple H kind of gets a little bit annoyed. You know, he's like, you think he's got a chance of beating me? You know, what are you talking about? Orton comes out, and then Orton is sort of saying the same thing. You know, why is he in this match? Orton then says he wants a piece of Bryan tonight, so Triple H grants him a match. And then Batista calls Orton a paper champion and says the only reason that they cheer for Daniel Bryan is because... Orton says the only reason they cheer for Daniel Bryan is because they don't believe in Batista. But then Batista says the reason that they cheer for Daniel Bryan is because Orton just sucks. Both statements of which are true. So Triple H is about to leave. He says he's sick of everything. And then he does this really... It's a great promo, but I just kind of laughed at the fact that he was doing it outside the ring, but then started mounting the ropes as he was doing it. But maybe that was just me that overthought it. And basically he says that he's sick of Hollywood movie stars coming back to tell him what's best for business. He's also sick of technically gifted guys who are so screwed up in the head they can't win a match without Triple H holding their hand. And he says the old man was right. The only person you can trust is yourself. So Triple H says there will be a triple threat match at WrestleMania, but it won't be with Daniel Bryan, because when Triple H beats Bryan, he's going to be the third person in the main event. Now, the fans really popped for this plot twist. I think this is the important thing. They popped for the plot twist. They didn't pop because they want to see this outcome. So then Triple H storms off, and Batista, while having a bit of a fit, turns into an RKO. Really hot opening segment, I thought.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Now, I don't want to be that guy, right?
But you're going to be that guy.
But I'm going to be that guy. Did I not say a few months ago that a really interesting twist of this whole face of the WWE thing would be, almost verbatim from my mouth, if Triple H turned around and said, if you want to get something done, you've got to do it yourself, and positioned him to try and win the title? I'm pretty sure I did. Although, I did not expect, and you know me, you know how I love to take credit for things. But I didn't expect this, and I thought this was really clever because sort of let me take a sort of sideways view at this a little bit. A lot of people say that the biggest match that WrestleMania could potentially have, not this year, but just in general, would be John Cena versus The Undertaker. Mm-hmm. And I think the reason that many people say that is because that match works on two levels. It works as a straight up wrestling angle. You know, you've got The Undertaker who's got the streak, and you've got Superman John Cena who's very rarely defeated. And then it works on the meta level. The meta level of the smart fans can be worked by this because in their minds it's not, oh, John Cena's very strong, he could beat The Undertaker. And in the smart sort of way, and I'll be honest, I don't like using that word, but it's a shorthand for people who are engaged with wrestling in a way that they know they don't really get that, they don't get worked by it in the traditional sense, so maybe you have to work them in a different way. And the way that they do with that is that people would get so into that match because a lot of people in the arena and watching at home would say John Cena is the guy they would probably book to go over him. And that's how the match would work dramatically for them. Now, it's kind of unfortunate, and, I'm sure Jim Cornette would talk for hours about why this sort of thing is happening. It's unfortunate that they have to do that, but the simple fact is they do. They do have to do things like that now and again so that everybody can be invested in it. And I kind of feel like this is what this plot twist is, because for a lot of people, including myself, as much as I want to see Bryan win the title at WrestleMania, like after last week's revelation, I guess I kind of thought, well, now it almost feels like a foregone conclusion. Everybody said last week, well, he's definitely beating Triple H no matter what, even if it's by DQ, he's still beating him. But whether or not he beats Batista or not, we don't know. Now, I could be wrong, but I like to give people the benefit of the doubt. And I like to think that Triple H is not really the monster egomaniac barrier of everyone that he is. And that perhaps what they're doing here is something very smart. They're simply going, we need to convince people who might think, well, I'm not going to order this or I'm not going to watch this because, well, it's obvious what's going to happen, by creating a situation where there are out-and-out fans who are just going to go, oh my God, Triple H might win, and then there are people who will get emotionally invested in it because they think that Triple H is that much of an egomaniac, he would book himself into the main event and over Bryan.
I had that exact same thought when he did it. I was like, it's kind of similar to when he faced the Streak in Atlanta, because you thought if anyone would put themselves over, it would be him. And it totally does work on that level, and it's a nice plot twist to what would have been, I guess, maybe a bit of a kind of pedestrian road to WrestleMania for that match. Like, it would have always had a good amount of build, but now you're kind of like, would he do that? There is a bit of
that's the thing, and they're toying with me. Now, I like to think that he will do business the right way.
But there's another option here. There's another option, because some people have banded this around, and I think the thing with this, for me, is that this angle is really hot right now. A lot of fans are really enjoying it. It's kind of revitalized Orton and Batista, that they're involved in it a little bit now. But there are certain people who are saying, maybe it'll end up being a fatal four-way. Maybe Triple H will just put himself in it anyway. And, I wouldn't be 100% opposed to putting Triple H in it, as long as at the end of the night, I see Daniel Bryan with the title. Because my one fear, and I totally understand it, is that WWE, let's go back to WrestleMania 2000. The Rock and Triple H was going to be the main event. The Rock was going to win the title. That is what should have happened. But they thought the angle was so big that they could just, put it back a month. So my fear is that they think, this Daniel Bryan angle is so good that we don't have to give the title to him at WrestleMania. We can let it go on a little bit longer. I don't think they can. I think the right ending here is for him to be victorious at WrestleMania. That's where the story, at this point, should conclude.
WrestleMania 30 cannot end with a heel winning the champion. I mean, some people would argue that WrestleMania 20 now ends with the Ultimate Heel winning the title, but that's risky material for someone else to make jokes of. The I think it's a really nice twist, and I'll be honest, it got me. At first I'm like, what the fuck, you dick. So, they got me. They completely got me, because I am one of those people that could, my immediate emotional reaction to it is that big-nosed bastard. He's gonna try and steal Bryan's thunder.
But also, it kind of makes sense more from a storyline perspective now, because before, it was kind of like, right, Bryan, if he wins, he gets this. But what does Triple H get? He didn't really get anything out of it. He got to beat him, but...
So it makes the match... It makes the match more interesting, I think. But what I was going to say was, if they're going to do a Fatal 4-Way, then they might as well not have a qualifying match. What's the point? Like, why have Bryan versus Triple H and then just put them both in? It seems like it would be a waste of time on a pay-per-view where they shouldn't really be wasting time. They've got a lot of guys they could showcase in different ways on this show. And,
well, yeah, the funny thing is there's a real test here, because Triple H, if you look back at his career, in terms of him being a guy who's, working with NXT and doing all these different things, for anyone who doesn't like him, just look at the time period when since he's taken over developmental. We've seen the Shield, we've seen the Wyatts. There's been a lot of positive stuff, but the one thing that he's not great at is him being involved in something with younger guys and him having to let his ego go out the way. CM Punk, he kind of squashed him in 2011. Brock Lesnar, he wasn't willing to just sort of put him over and let it be. So this is a real big test for Triple H, because ultimately, this whole story should be culminating in Daniel Bryan, winning and beating him without assistance, being able to beat him of his own volition. So it's a real test for Triple H here to see if he is going to be willing to just sort of put his ego aside and say, right, I'm now the guy that works to put the other guy over. I'm not the guy that needs to get... Because Triple H is a huge star, and he always will be. So, if he loses, he can still walk out the next night in Raw, and he's fine. Whereas Daniel Bryan can't afford to not win this.
Yeah, I would agree.
So,
but it's they've made. I'm just surprised that over the last 7 days they've made so many good choices. I'm pretty terrified they're going to fuck it up. So much good build in the last. They have me in a situation where I was one of the guys, like at WrestleMania 29 last year. I was only emotionally invested in one match. Can you guess what it was?
Undertaker Punk.
No, it was obviously Ryback and Mark Henry, Kenny, come on. It was Undertaker Punk, because Undertaker's streak means something to me as a fan long term, and CM Punk CM Punk was one of my favourite WWE superstars. So, so I was torn, because I'm kind of like, well, I want the streak to go on forever, but I'd probably be fucking diving about like a maniac if Punk actually beat him. So I was really into it, but then everything else was just kind of, oh, well, that's nice. Is there any more fireworks? Can I have some fireworks, please? They're always fun. But there's not going to be fireworks this year, is there? Like, well, they probably will have them, but you won't be able to see them. Yeah, but I won't be able to see the ones they set off on the roof. Oh, no. Firework Mania. Anyway, yeah, so it's really, now there's like 4 matches where I actually care. I care whether Triple H or Bryan wins, because I hate Triple H, the villain, and he's been such a good villain the last 2 weeks. Wyatt and Cena, that is a little bit more of a meta fan type situation where I just kind of want to see Wyatt go over. I think if any heel deserves to go over at WrestleMania this year, it's him over Cena. And then, Undertaker Lesnar, the streak, you're always invested in that. And then I want Bryan to go on to be in the triple threat match and win, and I'm just like, wow, I'm actually into more than one match on this show. This is insane. What are they going to do to ruin it between now and April 6th?
Yeah, it's crazy. We'll talk more about it after we've spoken about the stuff that happens on Raw, but they've done a great job this year, and there's a lot of things that we complained about, that a lot of other people complained about. I remember listening to Wade Keller and stuff in like December, basically telling them how awful they were at various things, but they've really put a lot of rights to wrongs that they had. But Up next on Raw, we had a tag team match with the Usos against the Real Americans, and the Real Americans got a non-title win over the Usos. So, cue the rumours that they're going to be in a tag match at WrestleMania against the tag champs. It was a good match. There was no dissension between Swagger and Cesaro. I think that for them as a team, it's better for them to be a team going into WrestleMania. Because they've left it too late to really be able to build anything substantial for the show.
I suspected that, looking at they don't like to do the same thing twice. So looking at the Real Americans and the Shield, I was like, well, they're not going to have two matches on the card with the same situation. So one of these is going to have to not happen, and they just decided that neither of them are going to happen.
Yeah.
They just ditched both.
Done.
One question though, why are the Usos doing all of Jeff Hardy's spots? One of them did the Whisper in the Wind, and then one of the other ones did the double leg drop to the balls thing.
Yeah, no.
I was like, guys, do not follow in his footsteps. It's not worth it.
No, no, it's
really, really not.
It was good. It was a good match though. The tag team division. We're not going to go into it tonight. We'll go into it next week. But
Also,
when I looked at for anyone who's listening to this, if you're a spoiler guy, go and read the SmackDown spoilers. The tag title match for WrestleMania each week becomes more complicated and more hard to predict as time goes on. But this was fun. So
it was quite fun. But I had something. Yeah, is it just? Did I imagine it, or did on Raw last week? Did Road Dogg say he still can't tell the Usos apart? They all look the same. Did he say something like that?
Yeah, he did. I think he meant because they were twins rather than them being Samoan. I don't think he meant...
Road Dogg's an old racist, and we know it.
Yeah.
So finally he's turned heel.
Then we had a backstage promo with Kane and the Shield. Kane kind of said... The gist of the promo was that he was saying that, they're an asset to the Authority, but if they keep doing what they're doing, then they're going to become a liability, which means that obviously the Authority will have to take action against them. And he says, I'm going to ask you one more time. Can I count on you? Rollins says yes. Reigns says believe in that. And Kane says that he believes they'll do the right thing. So we'll find out later what they did. Then my nightmare came true because Hornswoggle, dressed like a fat straight-into-hair lesbian, came out to hand out St. Patrick's Day gifts to the fans. Nobody cared, so at that moment it was the best time to bring out another person that nobody cares about, Bad News Barrett, who gave the most tedious, worst material. It was like, you people are going to go out and get drunk and you're going to have hangovers and work tomorrow. Great. Thanks for sharing that with us, you fucking moron. It was crap. It was so bad. If anybody's listening to this and you like this segment,
a lot of people like this stuff. I don't like it. It's not that I don't like him. I'm a big fan of his. I really like him.
Well, I've liked him in various carnations, but not this one.
This character, it's not. And the thing is, this character isn't bad. This is a good character. This is potentially a good gimmick, but the material is absolutely appalling. Find someone funny, anybody. There must be, not just in the writing. Don't look at the writing team. Anybody that works in that company, on that building, I refuse to believe there's not one person that's not a wee bit funny and could write quite good stuff for this guy. Because you know what? If Barrett's not a funny man, if he's not a naturally a comedian, that's okay. But he's been asked to portray a role, and it's just not working for me. I know people like it. But I honestly think that if you like this, you probably need to go seek medical help.
I half agree and I half disagree. I think the thing with Barrett is I don't believe it. I don't think he is the right guy for this gimmick.
He could be. He
could be if he was given the great material. But I just think that he's a potential main event guy, and this is not a main event gimmick. I don't think it's just generic, and the material's appalling. It's so bad.
Actually, Kenny, I disagree. This is a main event gimmick, as in main event on Ion TV. Oh.
But as much as I hate to admit that Robert's right, again, he pretty much is, because up next was a match with Sheamus and Titus O'Neil. Titus O'Neil, who came out dressed as Black Sheamus.
I just want to say that you can call me twice right Duffin. or something. I can't think of anything.
So catchy.
I'm right in the bad news Barrett material, guys.
Fuck. Oh God. But yeah, so Titus O'Neil came out for a match with Sheamus. Sheamus came out in I think it was an Irish rugby shirt. It had O2 on it, so I presumed it was some sort of rugby shirt for St. Patrick's Day. Titus grabbed Hornswoggle, but unfortunately he's still alive, and Sheamus ended up beating him with a brogue kick. It was really generic, but what we did get out of this is that after the match, Sheamus announced that he is going to be a participant in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal at WrestleMania 30. Then Christian, who was on commentary for the match, who was actually quite funny, I'll give him that. Christian was quite funny on commentary, with a lot of digs to Sheamus, attacked him after the match, and Christian is now in the Battle Royal as well. So that's fine. You know, I don't think their matches or their feud really deserves a WrestleMania match. Like, it's not hot enough to have.
It's not the worst angle they could use to be the main angle in the Battle Royal. Like, if the Battle Royal came down to those two guys, like, that would work. You know, that could be payoff. Although, see, I know. I think it was Kev Gilmore from Squared Circle Tees. He put a thing on our Facebook page saying he also thought that it might be Rusev that wins this Andre the Giant Battle Royal, and I was kind of keen, but now I think I really want Rusev to stay on NXT now, because, see, everybody looks at the current affairs right now and they go, oh my god, the situation in Crimea, the Russians are crazy. All I keep thinking about is, oh my god, if Russia and America go to war, then WrestleMania 31 is going to be Stars and Stripes Forever 2, John Cena versus Alexander Rusev. I know he's the Bulgarian brute, but trust me, within about 6 months, they'll find a Russian grandfather, so they can make this guy a big Russian villain. It's going to be WrestleMania 7 all over again. Keep Rusev away!
Poor Rusev. And then we had this thing. So they built up throughout the night. John Cena responds to the Wyatts. Didn't he respond to them last week? But yeah, he was responding to them again.
Yeah, John Cena, he really does keep up to date with his correspondence. He's a very conscientious superstar. But
he came out, it's funny, I always find it really amusing how they managed to come up with new ideas of why the crowd boo him. So now, it's that that him and the crowd is like a married couple, and that the crowd, you know, sometimes they like him, sometimes they don't. That would indicate that they did at one point really like him. But, you know, he's never going to, it's always going to be the kind of boo cheer thing, so they constantly come up with ideas of how to kind of make it seem not as bad as it is. Cena says he's afraid of Bray Wyatt. He's afraid of who he is, what he does, and he's afraid that people are going to listen to Bray Wyatt. He says Wyatt's trying to convince people that Cena's a phony. And then Cena cuts a kind of impassioned promo about WrestleMania. It was okay. It was decent for Cena, but then the lights went out and promo school began. Because Bray Wyatt was on the big screen in his little hut, whatever it is, wearing a John Cena vest with John Cena armbands, and it was just so good. He was talking about how the kids haven't lived long enough to know that everything's a lie. They believe the superheroes. Talks about how dark his childhood was. Says that he could be like Cena, he could go home to his castle, and what a great line this was. Bray Wyatt said he could be like Cena, he could go home to his castle with his plastic girlfriend, which I thought was a great line. And then Bray says that he's different, he doesn't care if he dies at WrestleMania, as long as the world sees Cena the way Bray does. Follow the buzzards. It terrifies me how good this guy is, and just to kind of put the nail on how good he is, I was watching this with my friend Dave, who doesn't like Bray Wyatt, incidentally. He's just one of the...
I bet he likes Bad News Barrett.
He does, actually.
Oh my god.
Dave, so anyway, but he...
Make an appointment with a shrink.
I know, but he actually, we were sitting watching this, and we watched that promo, and he turned to me as soon as the promo finished, and he said, that promo was the best that Bray Wyatt's ever cut. So even someone who didn't like him was taken in by that promo, and I think it's
he's grabbing this by the balls. Like, he is...
Oh god,
he's not going to sit back and just be like, he is doing... I don't mean to like rag on the guy, but he's doing everything the Miz should have done 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, whenever that was. 4 years ago?
3
years ago. Yeah, okay. Like, he is he is doing what I've used this in relation to Bryan before. Like Bryan, around about WrestleMania 28, like they probably wanted to take that World Heavyweight title off him and move him back down the card, you know. But he put himself in a position where it became impossible for them to ignore him. Like once that 18 seconds thing happened, they couldn't just get rid of him. You know, they created a monster by him sort of being so popular with the fans, regardless of what was going on. And they ended up, you know, he kind of had to be in those matches with Punk, and pretty much on the ascent ever since. And I feel like with this John Cena thing, like even if Bray Wyatt, okay, even if he is staring at the lights in New Orleans and Super Cena goes over, right, I still think that the promo work, that the way that he is, you know, really, really tearing apart the kind of John Cena character in a good way though, like he's not hurting it. He's just pointing out its flaws. I think he's positioned himself so that no matter what happens with regards to the match, like he is now a player.
Yeah, definitely. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head there. Is like there's a way to get heat as a wrestler by sort of chopping your opponent down, but he's not doing that. You know, he's talking about how Cena's the superhero, and that's what he's against. And he's just so great in these promos. And the thing, I actually think that, you know, in December when we talked about, you know, this is one of the rumoured matches, and people were outraged that this was going to be a match. And I even remember saying at the time, I don't often say that I'm right, but I remember saying that I liked the idea of this match because it's a new guy being the main event, and he's really proven his stuff here. And I think that he's actually carried the majority of the promo work going into WrestleMania with this. I think he's really sold his share of it more than Cena has. And not that Cena's been bad, but Cena, within the framework of his character, is kind of limited to how far he can really go. But Wyatt is just, you know, like you say, I think I think that Bray Wyatt, if he continues on this course, there's no reason why in a couple of years, if The Undertaker's still around, he couldn't be challenging the streak. He's that good.
He is stepping it up. Like, this guy has, like, he is not, you know, what's the word? Sorry, I'm flustered. When he came up to the main roster, like, for a long time, I was kind of going, well, he's not really had a defining moment. Like, I love this character. I love the stuff he did in NXT, but, you know, he was just waiting. He was waiting for something worthy to turn it on, you know? And the match with Bryan at Royal Rumble, that was the first time. That was the one where he went, right, this is it. This is worthy of me stepping this up. And now he's doing it with Cena. And I can't wait to see this match. And this was a match that when you told me in December, you went, Meltzer's released a WrestleMania card. I know there's one match on this that you're just not going to be happy about. And this was it. I was like, oh no, this is so bad. Wyatt's not ready for this. Cena's going to eat him alive. You know, I know we were joking about me being right, but I was so wrong about this, and I'm delighted to be wrong. I can't wait. And now this is my last word on it. I've just thought about this the other day. This is going to happen, I think. And you know how they've now incorporated the city that he's in into the entrance? You know, He's like, you know, Green Bay, we're here. Like, I can't wait for the lights to go down, and I assume what might happen is instead of New Orleans, he'll say WrestleMania, we're here, and blow the light out and it'll all kick off, and I just think it's going to be fucking epic. I
actually got goosebumps just at you doing that fake promo, so if I get goosebumps sitting in my room with you doing it, I'd imagine I'll get more goosebumps in New Orleans. But yeah, I'm so excited about this match. Up next was Daniel Bryan and Randy Orton, a no DQ match. I don't want to shit on this because it's not that it was bad, but we've seen these guys wrestle so many times now, and they've had better matches than this. It wasn't bad, but there was.
Yeah, it's just okay.
It was okay. You know, there was a funny part where a fan started sort of shouting at Orton, and he just lost it, as he usually does when anybody tries to question anything that he does. But it was a decent match. It was okay. I need to go back earlier on in the show. Batista had done an interview with Renee Young where he left the building and he said it was a mistake coming back to WWE, but obviously that was a lie because he's a heel. So he would come out in the end and try to cost the match, try to hit Orton, spears him, and then Bryan knocked Batista out and pinned Orton. And Bryan again was the last man standing in the scenario, and then Batista lays Orton out with a Batista bomb. The fans quite funnily chanted "one more time." So I like this dynamic of like the fans kind of sometimes they're kind of behind Orton over Batista, sometimes they're kind of more for Batista than Orton. It's an interesting dynamic that you can't really do too often, so I'm enjoying it. Then we got Paul Heyman, who came out on the stage and finally gave this program a little bit of meat by showing a video package where he showed the fact he mentioned before that the Undertaker's last few WrestleMania victories have been matches where he's barely survived, but Brock Lesnar has devoured those people. So there's a video package and it shows the Undertaker at WrestleMania against Michaels and Triple H, and it shows Lesnar destroying both of them. It also shows Lesnar destroying Mark Henry, and then it comes back and Heyman essentially said,
Can I interrupt you just very briefly about something? Right. I don't remember whether we said this on the show or whether I was just talking to you before we went live on Monday, but was it on the show when I was talking about listening to the Big Show on the Steve Austin podcast?
It was, yeah.
Right, and I was saying that
about
I disagree with him a little. I disagree with him a little bit because he said that the and let me get this right, they did not put that in this video package, did they?
No.
Right, so Big Show said, I was really beat up by those chair shots. They really do hurt, but I understand why that business had to be done. And my inference from that was it had to build Lesnar up as a beast before he went on to fight The Undertaker. And I said, I don't think that really happened. I think most people, by the time it came around to The Undertaker returning, had sort of forgotten that happened at the Royal Rumble. And then this video package starts, and I suddenly went, oh my God, they got me. They made perfect sense. We're going to see him beating up people who have all fought The Undertaker. Now, obviously, CM Punk wasn't really in it, but that's, nobody's fault. You want to see CM Punk? Talking Dead. That's your place now. No longer on Raw. But I sort of thought, shit, yeah. Why does he keep beating up Mark Henry? Because Mark Henry's a streak victim. Why did he beat up the Big Show? Oh, no, wait. They didn't even put it in the video package. So it was still stupid and pointless. Fuck's sake. Anyway, move along. Carry on.
And then Paul Heyman would say that the Undertaker each year, he's aging, he's getting older, and now it's time for Brock Lesnar to conquer the streak. And this is the way to go with this program. That's the way to go. Undertaker's getting older. He's not able to do it as well anymore. Each year, it's taking more and more out of him. And Lesnar is this beast that just won't stop. So, if you want to look at it, actually, do you know what? I'm trying to think. Maybe they did show the Big Show in this video on Raw a little bit. I'm second guessing myself. Maybe there was.
I don't think I saw it, but if they did, then I take my rant back, and it was quite well played. But if they didn't, then boo.
Put it this way: it doesn't scream out to me that was on the video. So whether it's me watching it at 2:30 in the morning,
I know that the streak match that involves the Big Show wasn't exactly the most illustrious one, but it still counts.
No, it's true. But yeah, I think this is a really good direction to take the story with Brock Lesnar being dominant. And if you want to look into it too far, you can go, well, Brock Lesnar actually never fought Shawn Michaels, and Brock Lesnar actually got beat by Triple H. But for the story, you can make it work. Then quite an interesting promo backstage. There's a segment that's hyped for the end of the show where Triple H is going to face Daniel Bryan man to man to talk to him. So it cuts backstage to Triple H and Stephanie. She is livid. She is absolutely livid. She's saying, how the hell can he just want to talk to him? And then he says, you're going to try and get in the title match. What's going to happen to our family, our business? You're going to go on the road again. And Triple H is like, maybe for the first time I'm thinking clearly again. Leave it alone, I'll take care of it. And then she's like, you better. So she's a complete bitch. And he kind of almost seems a little bit sympathetic here, which is bizarre, given that he's supposed to be a heel, but we'd find out later on what that's all about. Then there was a match with Goldust and Fandango. There was some kind of funny comedy at the beginning with Goldust trying to do Fandango's dances. And but then ultimately, this match would be relatively short. But there was a Botchamania are going to have a field day with this match. Goldust would end up winning the match, but basically Goldust got busted open, and then Fandango tried to go for a suplex, but Goldust wouldn't get up for it, and then Fandango missed a leg drop, and then Goldust hit the final cut, and that was the end of the match. But after the match, Goldust was visibly upset. Like, he was not happy whatsoever. Cody was trying to get him to raise the hand and cheer, but he was really not happy. So I assume that...
I kind of was concerned about this because he is quite hot-headed, I get the impression, and quite moody. I just wondered, like, something like this where I know that it's kind of not all his fault, but whether he'll end up getting in trouble for this. Like, it was kind of such a blatant break of character, you know. Other people have played it cooler when these things happened than he did.
Yeah, I've heard Meltzer had talked about how part of it might have been that he was maybe concerned that this was going to affect WrestleMania for him, you know, if Fandango fucked up a move. And but I think a lot of it's got to do with the fact that when it's a younger guy that's not got the kind of quote-unquote respect of the locker room, that if you fuck up, then the veterans aren't going to be happy. But yeah, he shouldn't have...
Oh, Fandango, what have you done?
What have you done? But up next, Kane would come out, and in a very odd segment, I still don't understand why this happened, but it did. He accused Jerry Lawler of using his hometown connections to organise the Occupy Raw thing from last week. Wants to bring Jerry Lawler into the ring. Lawler's not doing it. So the Shield come out. The Shield then go full on heel, trying to get Lawler to get in the ring. Lawler gets in the ring. Genuinely looks like a waxwork candle now with a wig, but he gets in the ring anyway. And Seth Rollins grabs it. So Kane says that, you know, have you got any last words, Jerry, before we beat you up? And Kane's taking his jacket off and rolling up his shirt. And Seth Rollins says, you know, I've got a feeling Daniel Bryan's not going to save you. And then he said, because the Shield always does what's best for business, but then the Shield turn around and pretty much become babyfaces officially by saving Jerry Lawler and attacking Kane and taking him out with the triple powerbomb. So the Shield stand united over Kane, and that seems to be where the angle is going.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts?
Well, unfortunately, because I've read the SmackDown spoilers, I sort of know where this is all going, and I can't say I'm very pleased about it. But I don't want to mention it because it's not fair, because people won't have seen SmackDown yet, and we'll talk about it on Monday.
Okay. Up next was a tag...
Fucking New Age. Anyway.
Up next was a tag team match with Cameron and Gabrielle against AJ Lee and Tamina Snuka.
Gabrielle, the singer, with the eye patch.
Naomi has returned with a glittery eye patch. And they have a tag team match with AJ Lee and Tamina. It's fine. Funnily enough, the AJ and Tamina got a bigger pop than the Funkadactyls.
You know what? I mean, I like the Funkadactyls, but I do prefer Naomi's work with East 17.
Damn you and your better 90s references. So Cameron and Naomi would win. Naomi would get the pin on AJ. But then after the match, AJ and Tamina started yelling at each other. AJ blames Tamina for losing. Tamina shoves AJ on the mat. Now, the funny thing is that Tamina shoving AJ on the mat got a bigger reaction than the Shield attacking Kane, which was quite bizarre, given that you would think it would be the opposite way around. But I don't know where this leaves each other. I don't know where this leaves the Divas now, because Tamina has potentially left AJ. I assume there'll be some sort of multi-diva thing at WrestleMania, but I'm not too sure. I know that Nikki Bella won a number one contenders match, and now Naomi's beat the champion, so who cares, really? But there is going to be some sort of match.
Yeah, don't even care.
I tried so hard there to care.
I mean,
Although,
who cares, really?
Who cares? But no, I did hear an interesting rumour today where Ronda Rousey, the UFC fighter, has registered an interest in potentially doing a WrestleMania match next year.
She's registered an interest. She sent a notified document registering her interest in a match at WrestleMania.
She's interested in doing a WrestleMania match. She obviously couldn't do one this year because of training and fights and stuff, but potentially next year. Now, I'm not a huge UFC fan. Like, I can kind of get by on it. But one of my friends, Mike Weirs from Males, he showed me a Rousey fight last year, and she is superb. Like, she's great. And
she's very, She's very arousing.
Oh, saucy. But she's now got this gimmick going where she's got like 3 other women with her, and they're called the Four Horsewomen. And
That doesn't sound right. The Four Horsemen rolls off the tongue, like Four Horsewomen. It just sounds like they're kind of 4 women with long faces and poo in the middle of the street.
I know, but when I heard about this, I only heard about it today. I heard about it. I can't remember where I read it, but I remember reading about it today, and I immediately thought, if she was going to come in and do a match at WrestleMania 31, like there's just no diva that would seem like a match. Like I almost
Karma or Beth Phoenix back or someone like that.
Or
by the way, I wasn't suggesting that Ronda Rousey looks like a horse.
Do you know what though?
Let's be honest, she'd probably ride me in the battle. So
and you would enjoy it far more than she.
Oh my god, it'd be like that woman from GoldenEye, Xenia Onatopp.
Oh,
I'd be
God.
death by squish.
I've been visually raped. But the thing is, they wouldn't have the balls to do it. But I almost think that she should go up against a guy. Like,
no, I don't like that.
There's no women on the roster that she could go up against that'd be believable.
That's not true. Like you could, if it's a year away, then there's stuff that can be done to build that properly. I don't want, and I'm not like people think. I mean, I don't know why some people think that it's sexist to be like, oh, I don't think women should fight men in wrestling, but it just breaks the illusion most of the time. Like I mean, if she goes up against a guy, it needs to be a guy that's like. It can't be like a big guy. Like she can't.
I'm not saying Mark Henry or anything.
No, I know, but who of the right kind of frame and size to fight her would it be like beneficial for her to fight?
Bryan?
Oh my god! Don't say that out loud because they'll do that. That'll be the revenge if the buy rates dip after he wins the fucking title. You'll be fighting a bird at WrestleMania. Even if it is the super talented, lovely, and absolutely could kill me Ronda Rousey, I still don't want to see it. No,
I'm floating out there, and if you're listening to this, if you make a case for a diva, put it on our Facebook or Twitter or even
Karma's the one.
Even down there in the comments, she's not with the company though.
They could bring her in.
Yeah, like they're just gonna go, oh, we're bringing Ronda Rousey in, so let's just bring Karma back. There's no way that they would bring.
That makes more sense than a wrestling.
That's not gonna happen. It makes sense.
Oh,
there's no way that WWE would bring back a woman like Karma and build her up to like a main event level WrestleMania match, because Rousey would be like top 3 of the card.
She can't fight a man. It would have to be. In fact, you know what? It'd have to be AJ or maybe Natalia.
I doubt they would give Natalia that big a spot. They're not that.
I don't think so. But like AJ, I mean,
Paige. I don't know if Paige could. It's a lot. No, she's quite.
No, I mean AJ looks like a 12-year-old Brazilian boy sometimes. Like she's so skinny.
She does.
Like, I mean, nothing.
I
know that's not. You know what? That's a horrible thing to say because of like body image issues and all that kind of shit. And I know I'm sounding like I'm being really PC, but I don't mean it in that way. I'm not like, oh, she's still skinny. Eat a burger. Like, no, I don't mean that. I just mean that she's like comparatively, she's not like muscle bound.
Stop. Right, okay, so Ronda Rousey, if you have any ideas on who you think she should face at WrestleMania 31, if that is an option, get on Facebook or Twitter, or even below in the comments section.
She should fight Stephanie and accidentally kill her.
Oh, I would love that. Do you know what, actually, that is potentially what they would do. Only Stephanie McMahon would have the ego to put herself in a match with Ronda Rousey.
Well, she does that bodybuilding stuff, right?
She does. She's bringing out a fitness DVD.
Well, no wonder her calves are almost as big as her tits. Like, she could have a calf off with Bully Ray. Jesus Christ.
So then we had the induction video for Mr. T into the Hall of Fame.
Is that the guy from the Snickers adverts?
The guy from the Snickers adverts. And yeah.
Get some nuts!
He's a deserving candidate. And
he is deserving. I still would rather it was Cyndi Lauper, though.
Yeah, of course. But there's some people are like, I can't believe Randy Savage isn't in there, Mr. T. It's a different thing. It's a different thing.
Yeah, unless you're going to induct Savage for his work on Spider-Man 2, then... Spider-Man. No, it was the first one. Sorry, I know someone will pick me up on that because nerds.
Bonesaw McGraw. So up next, 8-man.
Oh, it's ready.
We had an 8-man tag team match. Big Show, Mark Henry, Dolph Ziggler, and Big E against Ryback, Axel, Del Rio, and Sandow, who are all part of the WrestleMania Battle Royal. Big Show officially can enter himself via a promo video. Big Show, who used to be Andre's son in WCW, but not anymore.
Kayfabe.
Although I do love that Billy Kirkwood, friend of the show, just put, I always hated what Bossman did to Andre's coffin.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's the in jokes that work.
I love the second generation stars. Big Show is Andre's son. The Shields are Big Boss Man's triplets. How one of them ended up being Samoan, I don't know. It's a scientific mystery.
So it's announced that the main event for SmackDown this week is going to be Cena against Luke Harper, which should be a pretty good match. Bray Wyatt is up next against Kofi Kingston. Now, the biggest story of this match is not even the match, but there was a video package played here with Cena and Wyatt set to the Eminem song Legacy. If you've not seen this video package, we posted it on Facebook. It is outstanding. It is just, it epitomises this feud. It epitomises why it's so good. It really is a big time promo video that shows you how much they feel about Wyatt, that they're giving him this sort of they're putting the big celebrity music in with the Wyatt match. It's not like it's only reserved for the main event. So yeah, I was happy with that. But Bray would end up beating Kofi Kingston easily, and main event time. So in the main event, Triple H came out, called it Daniel Bryan. They're in the ring together. Triple H says, that he wishes this didn't have to happen. Bryan crossed a line, and he says, he says he has to end the yes movement, and he wants to shake Bryan's hand. Bryan says no, and Triple H then says, he's dumped a lot on Bryan, but he's still standing. And Triple H then, with his little CM Punk dig, says, the fans respect what he's been through. Anyone else would have folded a long time ago and took their ball and went home. Cue the CM Punk chant from the crowd.
Oh, you bitch.
Oh no, he didn't. Triple H then talks about, Bryan's earned your respect. Earned my respect. And Triple H goes to leave, and then Stephanie comes out, and she's raging. She's like, what he did last week was illegal. And she's going to press charges. She calls it a group of cops. They come out. Triple H is sort of like, what are you doing? This is too far. This is ridiculous. The cops start handcuffing Bryan, and then Triple H goes from it was the perfect swerve. Triple H goes from being the concerned guy that's, he's just kind of has to have the match. He doesn't really want to that really dickhead grin.
Oh my god. I'm really sorry to interrupt you, but this is important.
Okay.
This is a headache. This is official. The WrestleMania pre-show is going to be 2 hours long.
No!
Yep.
What?
WWE.com. So it's official.
So we're going to be in New Orleans for 6 hours.
This is breaking news. Get ready for the biggest WrestleMania in history with the supersized 2-hour WrestleMania 30 pre-show on Sunday, April 6th, live from the Mercedes-Benz Superdome in New Orleans, starting at 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. The first hour of the WrestleMania... Fucking hell. The pre-show is now as long as Raw was when this business actually made money. The first hour of the WrestleMania 30 pre-show will feature analysis of the action-packed card from a star-studded panel of superstars past and present, along with the on-the-scene interviews featuring superstars preparing to battle on the grandest stage of them all. The first half of the WrestleMania 30 pre-show can be viewed on WWE.com, the WWE app, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Bebo, probably. Then at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific, the pre-show continues exclusively on WWE Network, where the All-Star panel will continue to break down the matches of the stacked WrestleMania card. In addition, the action will begin with an exclusive pre-show match. It all leads up to WrestleMania 30, which blasts off at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. Then it just kind of lists matches. And
so there's going to be a match on the pre-show.
Yeah, but only on the network hour. So there's an hour that will be on available everywhere, like the app, YouTube, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And then the immediate hour before the show, which will have a match on it, pardon me, I'm hiccuping, will only feature, I think my body's actually rejecting this physically, the match will be on the one that's only available to network people. So this is effectively a way to...
Super Double,
I mean,
you better bring a shitload of beer for that
better
day.
have a lot of fucking chicken and chips.
Yeah, chicken and chips, Blue Moon, that's what I want. So back to Raw, Triple H swerves the fans. He was in on it all along. He says, cops, get off Daniel Bryan. There's no need for this. Come on, you're not even really cops. Tells them to get out, and then he beats up Bryan to a pulp. Now some of the bits here, just to kind of highlight if you've not seen it. I don't know how you would not have seen or heard about this attack, but it was brutal. It was the most brutal attack I've seen in years on television. Bryan's handcuffed. Triple H is smacking him from pillar to post. He's flinging him off the steel steps. He's flinging him through the barricades. Then at one point, there's like a bucket by the ringside that's got like water in it and stuff. So Triple H starts like essentially waterboarding Daniel Bryan, with Stephanie shouting, "Drown him! Drown him!" Then Triple H grabs Bryan. Now there's points here where Bryan does try to fight back throughout it, so he's not a total pussy throughout the whole thing. And then Stephanie starts slapping him, and then there's this great line. So he's been beaten to a pulp for a good 5 minutes now. His t-shirt's half hanging off. Stephanie starts slapping him, and he just shouts to Stephanie, "You hit like a girl." And he just keeps saying it to her, and it fits in so well with Stephanie's character, who would find that the immortal insult that she's been called a woman. So it goes on. And then probably the most brutal part of the entire attack was Triple H lies Daniel Bryan across the corner of the ring apron, and then it looks like he smacked him in the head with a steel chair, but really it smacks off the ring post. But it was very effective the way they filmed it. And Triple H then tears his shirt off, gets Bryan in the ring, pedigrees him, and then Stephanie and Triple H make out and then do the yes thing going off the air. This was phenomenal. This sold pay-per-views or network buys or whatever you want to call it. There was so much heat in this final segment. All people want now is to see Daniel Bryan beat him. It was perfect.
Like, I know last week I said that Bryan winning and looking on top made me nervous, and maybe he should get a doing this week. I mean, I did ask for that, but guys, I mean, that's like asking for a McDonald's and getting a steak. I mean, they absolutely murdered him with someone called CSI. Like, they need to get Dexter into the blood splatter test. Yeah, very effective, and pretty good Raw. I mean, there was some dross here and there, like stuff that wasn't really that important, but I thought it was a pretty solid one altogether. I mean, Triple H is the real... I mean, that's the thing. Like, unfortunately, Bryan and Hunter is kind of the real story now. Like, Batista and Orton are B players here. I don't mean that as a pun on what he calls Bryan. I just feel like they are a wee bit. So the Bryan Triple H stuff bookending the show I thought was really good. Got me really invested in what was going on here. And Cena and Wyatt's on its way. The Shield stuff I quite enjoyed. And lots of interesting things going forward. So, yeah.
It's the irony at the end. There's a lot of people who've been making comments online about, the irony that the guy who got fired for choking someone with a tie was being drowned at ringside.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
So there's some interesting parallels. But Stephanie was great here. I really hope that Stephanie is going to be ringside at WrestleMania, because she really adds to this story. You know, like, Triple H is a dick, right? But we know that. But there's something about the way that Stephanie does it that you just believe it so much with her. And she plays a heel so masterfully when she just goes for it and doesn't hold back. So it's WWE.com announced that Bryan had injuries with his ribs and stuff. He's not going to be on SmackDown this week, but I assume he'll be on Raw in some form or fashion. I kind of wonder as well a little bit if maybe during the WrestleMania match, maybe one of the pops of the match is maybe Brie Bella's going to run down and take out Stephanie. Like, maybe that's part of it. I don't know.
Oh God, I hope not.
You know, it'd be a good pop for the crowd. I think people would probably enjoy it. So, you know, I'm for it if Stephanie
I'm just concerned that people might not be popping for anything because they'll be fucking exhausted. A 2-hour pre-show? Oh my god.
people are not going to... I mean, essentially what they're saying there is the first hour of the pre-show, you don't need to be at the arena for. It's just going to be backstage interviews.
Yeah, it's going to be people just arriving, you know.
You know,
People
like-
might start... I would...
What it essentially means
I
is...
would be... I'd start arriving that hour.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
mean,
just
essentially
get
what happens,
in
you
here.
know, so what time are you talking about? It begins at 5 p.m?
Yeah, I'll have been down at the spa. I've got my carry out.
You'll be down at the chicken cottage.
Yeah, just out checking cottage. I'll go to Spar, get some tinnies, and I'll be smuggling them into Superdome. So
But the thing is, what that essentially means is that, you know, if the pre-show starts at 5 now, maybe the doors would have opened at 4:30. So instead of having an hour and a half to twiddle your thumbs if you're going to go in as the doors open, that you now only have half an hour to twiddle your thumbs. And you know, it's a good idea because, you know, then you've got the people who aren't, because they've got to cater to the people who are going to be ordering the pay-per-view. So they're giving them an hour, and then, you know, they're also convincing people to buy the network by giving them an exclusive hour with the match. I wonder who's going to be in the match, because every fucker is on the WrestleMania card. So we'll see. But just to kind of close things off, yeah, and I agree with you. Really good episode of Raw. The 4 main events are just really exciting me in terms of the build. Earlier on today I watched the main event from the network, which aired last night, and there was a promo at the end with The Undertaker. So Paul Heyman came out and sort of said, you know, Brock Lesnar is going to destroy The Undertaker. Undertaker appeared from behind Heyman and he grabbed him by the throat and essentially said that he's going to slay the beast in New Orleans, and he's going to be on Raw this Monday to hand deliver that message to Lesnar if Lesnar has a problem with it. So I assume that we're going to get Lesnar and Undertaker in some form of confrontation in Brooklyn next Monday.
quite possibly. The road to WrestleMania, things are feeling pretty healthy. So let's just see where this goes.
Exactly. So I am Kenny McIntosh. He's been Robert Duffin, and we will see you next Monday.
Well, before we go though, we have to do some, because we're putting this on YouTube potentially to more listeners than our main show, and not really plugged anything. So if you made it this far, we are Inside the Ropes. You can get us at Facebook. I know, you can get us at facebook.com/the Inside Network, or tweet us at inside_the ropes. Please check out www.insidetheropes.co.uk for our past shows and our VIP section, which you can subscribe to for hundreds and hundreds of hours of audio and video content. More of us, some top names from the world of wrestling included. Check that all out. How much is that a month again? Like
£3.99, aka $6.30. Interviews with guys like Mean Gene Okerlund, Vince Russo, Steve Austin, Mick Foley, Chris Jericho, Eric Bischoff, Vader, Lex Luger, Bruno Sammartino, Scott Hall, and many more.
Glacier. So
Davey Richards.
Fuck. Anyway. Yeah, fucking hell. I saw he did that interview where he was like, "Oh, I'm not very happy with Ring of Honor. I don't think many people like me there." And I was like, "Well, join the club." So, anyway. So, you know what, Davey Richards, there are very few people in the world that I would let away with leaving me hanging, lying on the floor of some poor person's bedroom in Wishaw, trying to get you on Skype. You absolute dickhole. Anyway, that was a shoot.
So join us next Monday night at 10 p.m. UK time, 5 p.m. Eastern, or no, 6 p.m. Eastern at the moment because of the daylight savings time thing, where we will be joined by WrestleMania legend, the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase, to talk WrestleMania memories. Huge guest for the show. We are excited to have Ted Sr. on the show. So we will see you on Monday night, and thanks.
Love you, bye. Stop stealing Colt's gimmick.
Oh, shut up, I can have it.